Okay. Yeah. All right. So I think we should just get started with Power first, since it's like just one episode, and we can get that out of the way, and then talk about June
Yeah,
1
yeah,
and 2,
sounds
which is
good.
much longer. So yeah, I mean, just in general about the series, the first episode, it's just an introduction, right? It's a pilot.
It's a
So
setup. Yeah.
what do you think about it in general?
So I liked it. Yeah, I liked it. It was a little bit rough around the edges,
Mm.
but the things that matter, in my opinion, about like storytelling, so films and books, the plot and characterization, it did well. It did really well.
Mm.
So, the plot was they set up like I don't know, like maybe 4 different plot things. They had like Ghosters, that's the main character's name, right? They had him and his wife, the issue with him and his wife and the extra girl coming.
Yeah.
They set up the two second men is the way I would describe them. They had the white drug dealer.
Yeah, Tommy.
Yeah, and then so I can't remember their names.
I got
and then
you.
the club owner.
The club owner.
So they're
is
kind
Ghost.
of in they're
Oh,
kind of
you
in
mean
competition
his
with each other.
employee, Cantos.
Whoever the club owner is, who's
Okay.
helping him with the club.
Yeah, Cantos. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
they've set up that there's a conflict there.
Mm-hmm.
There's the thing with the Ghost's boss from the cartel or something. He's
Yeah,
from the
Lobos.
cartel or something.
Yeah.
So there's that issue,
Yeah.
and then there's the criminal lawyer that comes in, the woman. What's her name? The
Is it the
Spanish,
girl?
Hispanic
Yeah.
type girl. Yeah.
Angela.
She is a criminal lawyer, but she's actually working with the cops
Mm.
or something, and they
Yeah.
used to have a relationship in the past, and it's all connected. So they set up 4 things like really well, I thought, and really efficiently. And I was kind of like, holy shit, how did you fit in all of that storytelling into 50 minutes or whatever it was?
Yeah.
And then the other thing I really liked was the main character, Ghost. Because like there was that first scene, right, when he's one of those he's an anti-hero.
Mm.
He's obviously an immoral person. Like he just murders that guy right at the start. He like executes him, right?
Yeah.
But for some reason, you like him.
Okay.
You kind of you want to like him at least.
Why do you like him?
He just seems cool. He seems like the man. He's like running the show.
Yeah.
He's not, he's not a puss. He's
Okay.
but he's also seems disciplined. He's competent. He's managing all these people and all these things, and he's succeeding. And even though he's obviously a cold-blooded killer, right? He somehow seems like he's got some sort of moral code, some ethic behind him that you can follow, right? And because even though I'm only 1 episode in, it seems like a lot of the stuff that I would enjoy, like a lot of shows or books or films where everybody's kind of bad. You know what I mean? So everybody is being forced to make decisions where in both cases, like in both options, a bad thing's going to happen. They're going to have to do an unethical thing. It's like going to war, Nazi Germany, let's say, like they're taking over everything.
Let's not go that far into. There's the pulley thingy experiment. So you kill one or you kill a lot of people. That's a good enough. Moral quagmire.
Yeah, but
if go into the Nazi thing.
Yeah, but if you're gonna save the world, right, from Nazi Germany, you need to go on and kill Germans.
Yeah,
that's what I mean.
Okay.
That's what I was gonna say.
Sure.
I was not gonna say that you should be a Nazi and blah 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 blah.
Okay, no worries.
But so that's why I like the character. And I think it's, I would guess, even though I haven't written like a character like this, I would guess that's really hard to pull off, to make a character both likable and immoral.
All right, so everything you said, I kind of share a lot of those feelings as well. Maybe just a brief touch on some of the important links you were alluding to at first. So there's a couple main characters in this that were introduced to us. Because we see their faces, a couple times throughout the episode, right? So that's how they somewhat matter, right? They're not just there. So there's the main character, James Ghost. There's his wife, Tasha. There's his partner in crime, Tommy, the white guy, as he said. There's also his assistant at the club, Cantos. And the girl that came into the club, Angela, who is like a friend from when they were really young. He was talking about her with his partner in the car when he said Angela came in the club. Yeah, and he was like,
"Oh yeah.
How long has it
Tommy
been?" Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I
and
think
he's like,
it
"You
was
need
20 years or something. And Tommy was asking, "Did you tell her you're married?" And he's like, "We didn't talk for that long."
Could have easily done, right?
Yeah, so it's just the first episode, but I think, yeah, it's a great story. All the stuff you said about the guy being the man, competent and stuff, really resonated with me, especially that scene where he tells Tommy they need to close down the store because they got hit, right? They got robbed. So someone knows their system and how they're moving. And by the time he takes the elevator back up into the club, everything is shut down. So his couriers that are out on the street, the guy that's sampling product at the port and about to bribe that cop to take it, the guy that's counting money in some shady dark room, everyone just runs, right? Like, to me, that really gave me the impression like this guy has a well-oiled network.
Right.
That at the snap of his fingers, things happen, and if he says close down, it closes down within a few seconds.
Yeah.
So yeah, and also the whole suit thing, right? Like you never expect a criminal. Well, you don't see someone in a suit and automatically think, violent crime.
Maybe not violent crime, but
exactly.
you might think crime.
Yeah, you might think
fraud,
collar crime. Yeah, white collar crime and stuff. But then even then, it's like you need a reason to think that, unless you're just walking around being a negative person and seeing everyone as a potential criminal.
Yeah, I wanna throw this out there. Because I wanted to see what you thought.
Yeah.
It kind of the relationship between. Now I've only watched one episode. I don't know where it's going to go exactly, but what it reminded me of, the relationship between Tommy, who now I don't know his name, the white guy, and Ghost, kind of reminded me of Stringer Bell and Avon Barksdale.
Yeah.
Right. So you got Avon Barksdale, who wants to do the, he wants to stay on the street. He wants to, F people up, right? Like Avon Barksdale's the man, right? And then you got Stringer Bell, who wants to like get off the street, and he wants to become a developer. He wants to go where the money is. He's wearing the suits, right? He's all classy, and that's one of the most powerful relationships.
Yeah.
In that wonderful series that we've talked about before, The Wire. And so this seemed like the same thing, but they've flipped it. Right? So the bad option might be going with Tommy. Because like in The Wire, I don't know, but it's ambiguous. It's you like Stringer Bell gets got in the end, whereas Avon Barksdale just goes to jail. He just stays there. He kind of survives. Yeah. Ironically. Right?
Yeah.
Right? But whereas here, it seems like they might have flipped that. But I don't know. It's like the first.
Yeah, I think with Avon and Stringer, it's like the dynamic there is a bit more, I don't know, it seems more like Avon is a bit more in charge than Stringer, and only when he went into the big house did he lose some of his juice, and Stringer was like automatically running things.
Yeah. He's his number 2 guy.
Yeah. Exactly. But with Ghost and Tommy, it's like they're kind of equals in the business.
Oh, really?
It might not seem like it at first, but they kind of run things through each other before making decisions, right? Like he met with one of their they call them primeras in the show, one of their, I guess, sub distributors, because they are distros, the distributor for Lobos for New York, but then they have smaller gangs that they also sell kind of wholesale to as well, for them to then sell retail. He met with one of them, and that guy was offering protection through his gang and was also offering to sell them guns since, you know, now they're under attack. And he comes and discusses it with Tommy, right? Like, he offered us protection, and Tommy was like, F that. And he also was like, yeah, sure, F that, because if all the other gangs they also sell to you see that they're getting protection from this one gang, it's not a good look. You know, they have to stay neutral.
Yep.
So with this power dynamic, they're more on the equal side. But yeah, definitely one of them wants to get out. It's clear from episode 1, right? He's talking about the club, like, what if it's not just where we clean our money, but it's like a plan B for us to get our way out.
And he's got the cartel guy going, I want you to be, you could run a cartel or something. Exactly. You can work like 3 days a year, right? Yeah. You can get other people to, you know, actually have to take on the risk. He actually says that, doesn't he?
Yeah. What do you think about Lobos?
Is that the cartel guy?
The boss, yeah.
Well, he's a bit of a slimy ass. You know, like, I think that's what they were trying to make him out to be, like that he was a, you know, exploits people. He's a cartel runner or something, you know.
Yeah, he's a drug lord. Yeah.
Right. So, yeah, so he's not very likable. He's a dick. But he's smart.
Yeah.
Pretty smart.
Yeah, I mean, you have to be smart in almost anything, any form of business, to be at a good top. Yeah, I mean, there's always someone higher than you, right? In life in general, just when you think you're at the top, there's always some power higher than you. But yeah, to be that high, I think, yeah, you definitely have to be smart. I actually like Lobos though. I like him for his antics.
Right, but you've seen everything, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So okay, maybe there's a difference between like him being
slimy. No, I agree. Right, like, these guys are criminals. They're hurting people. Okay. I recognize this, and I know these are not nice people. You don't want to meet them in real life. You don't want to have any dealings with these kinds of people, right? It's like, yeah, you probably don't want to ever meet those kind of people. But from the comfort of my home, looking at a screen, yeah. His character, with the way he talks and moves and his articulations and stuff, yeah, it's fascinating.
Yep.
To me.
No, he is. But, you know, as I said before, you know, that characters can grow in you, and they can go from being a character you don't like to a character you like, and vice versa.
Yeah.
And on that note, who's the wife? Tasha. Like, the first line in the show, I'm pretty sure it was the first line, was, "Call me beautiful."
Yeah.
Outside the club, and I was like, to be perfectly honest, I was like, what has Victor got me into? I was like, this is the worst opening line. I was like, what the hell?
Yeah.
You know? And then she started off being, I was like, I don't like this character at all. Go away. But then very quickly, it flipped. And I actually, you know, became sympathetic to her point of view very quickly, I thought. And she became a likable character, even though what she did we don't have to go into details, but what she did at the back of the car after finding out was like...
Yeah. Let's talk about that for a second.
Okay.
So, your man, your husband and father to your 3 children.
So there's 3 of them? Is there 3 of them?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's 3. It's 1 girl, 1 boy, and then 1 very young one who's also a girl. Yeah. Meets someone from, well, he just talks to someone right? Like, he didn't notice you were standing close by when he walked by. He was talking with someone and you see him take her digits, right? Like, all of this happens. We're not females, right? So we can't necessarily put ourselves in those exact shoes. But I think as hopefully empathetic, emotionally intelligent,
I get where you're going.
Human beings.
Yeah.
What do you think is a good response at that moment?
Well, so obviously what he did was wrong.
Okay.
And even though he had already murdered someone, for some reason I thought he was bigger than to do that and like blatant, because that was actually stupid.
Yeah.
Because it was in his club. He knew his wife was there.
He didn't know she was there yet.
Oh,
though.
sorry. Okay.
Like,
So it's not as stupid as I thought, but
it
was still not smart.
Yeah.
It was still like, other people, his underlings, if we can call them that.
Okay.
Might have seen him. It just still didn't seem. Obviously, the extra woman, what's her name? Angela. They've got a really big connection. That's obvious. Yeah. But okay, so what he did was wrong. It doesn't justify what she did either.
Okay.
In the car with the driver, right? At all. Because that's just pure revenge. Revenge is not something you want to embody, right? Because that will make, if you just keep seeking revenge, they'll make you a worse person over time. So you can understand why she did that, but it doesn't mean it's justified.
Yeah. I don't know, like, for me, I think if you're married, you've got 3 kids, there should be nothing you can't talk about.
Oh, 100%.
Like...
Before that.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like, I mean, I get the whole... Someone could make the argument, she felt ignored. Even before leaving home, they had this sort of mini fight, you could say, where he asked her, when you married me...
Forgot about that. Yeah, good point.
What did you think I was going to be? And she said the biggest drug dealer in the whole of New York.
Which isn't not something he wanted to hear.
Yeah, and then he asked, you didn't see anything else? And she was like, he said nothing more, and she was like, what more? I saw what you made in the club the other night. That's not more, that's less. I want us to stay the way we are, blah, blah, blah. Sure, they had that mini fight, and now he took someone else's phone number. So maybe you're feeling ignored, you're feeling unseen, you're feeling like you guys haven't talked, but do that exactly. Talk to your husband, walk up to him right there in the club and say, yeah, who was that? Like, you can always ask your partner, who was that you were just talking to? Yep. It shouldn't be weird.
No, I think, I don't want to overstate it, but I would imagine that a majority of all relationship difficulties comes down to the simple fact they're not willing to actually discuss things. They would actually prefer to sweep things under the rug than to expose a irritant between them, a frustration, and it might be because they're too agreeable, they don't want to rock the boat, or whatever the reason is. You know?
Or proud,
Or proud, yeah, exactly. Ego.
You think you can get attention from some female, I can get attention from a male whenever I want.
That's a great point, because you think about the man, he's supposed to be this guy that's hyper disagreeable, that he's like really independent-minded, like he can stand up for himself at all scenarios. He's got this super gnarly organization he's running, like drugs, like violence, but he can't go to his wife, hey, you didn't think I would be better than a drug dealer? Right? Which is actually, if you those two don't go, they're like, what?
Yeah.
So you say he's got actually just on that. Now, I don't know where they're going to go with the story in the future, but I would imagine they would expose something deficient in his childhood, perhaps. They might go into that, how that response of him to be like, because he actually acted a little bit like a child. He was like, okay. He just kind of like whinged away. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so he doesn't actually know how to deal with those types of emotions properly. He can't confront them, perhaps. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just speculation.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, right, he just floated the idea of getting out of the drug game to his wife, to his partner.
Right.
Both of them shut him down, right? Like they don't imagine a future outside of what they're currently doing. So yeah, that is gonna be interesting to keep an eye on as the series progresses.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd hope that if I were in a relationship with someone that we could talk about any and everything instead of trying to one up each other, you know.
What's for sure is I don't think my girlfriend would be able to talk about cricket, and that's very sad. But I've accepted it.
Yeah.
That not many people in the world understand my love for the greatest game on earth. But
you think cricket is the greatest game on earth?
Well, of course, it's self-evident, you know. And there are those who are enlightened and those who, let's just say that they've just missed the most wonderful thing on planet Earth. Anyway,
I'm not gonna touch that. So, yeah. I don't know if we should talk a bit about Miguel, the guy that got shot because he didn't want to talk.
Right, like the implications.
Nah, I mean, like, I don't know. That always felt a bit strange to me, you know, because if someone is holding a gun to my head and, you know, promises to let me go, lets my girlfriend, who they kidnapped alongside me, go, you know, I'd want to talk, you know? Like, I wouldn't just say...
If you're Miguel, are you saying?
Yeah, exactly. Because I wouldn't just say, you know, if I talk, they kill my family. Dude, live today and find a way to get yourself and your family out of reach.
Yeah, but you could imagine a scenario where he's seen this happen to many different people, and every single one of them who has spoken, has been killed, and their family has been killed. He sees the odds stacked against him, and he's like, I'm going to see if I can get out of this without speaking, despite what you just said about the girlfriend.
Nah.
What I actually found strange about that situation, what I was like, it's cool for the character Ghost, but weird for the plot, I thought, is why did Ghost himself kill him? Like, I get you're trying to develop the character.
Yeah.
But to me, it was like, why doesn't he get one of his underlings to kill him? Get his you know, what's the expression, his blood off the crime. You know what I mean? And, you know, so he's not actually going to be the guy pulling the trigger.
I mean...
It reminded me of the scene, but they kind of, again, they flipped it. Have you seen American Gangster with Denzel Washington?
Yeah.
That's actually something we should review as well.
Yeah, sure.
I love that film. Anyway, like right at the start, he's with Denzel is like his. What's the older guy, the older drug kingpin? Right at the start, I can't remember his name. It's like Bunny or
Bumpy or something like that,
right?
Yeah.
But he's his Denzel was his like number. He's his trigger man.
Yeah,
right.
Like
it's kind of like that
two.
scene at the start. It's like
yeah.
So that's the other thing that scene reminded me.
So why not establish his power by having him order someone else to pull the trigger and they pull it?
Because if they find the gun, if they find DNA, then it will actually not. It will go back to him. Yeah,
the gunshot residue on his body and so on. Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, it's like these things can happen in many different ways, but I guess some leaders are more hands-on than
That's
others.
a good way to describe it.
Yeah.
But to counter that, I think he woke up in the morning with flashbacks of what he'd done the night before. Mm-hmm. So if he really wanted to do it, you know, if he was like a bloodthirsty type of person, which he doesn't seem like it, I might be wrong, then he wouldn't have those flashbacks.
So I'm going to be talking about this on just my knowledge of episode 1, right? Like
yes,
I rewatched
yes.
episode
No, that's
1.
good. I don't want you to
exactly
circumvent the story.
Exactly. So I think if you can do a heinous act and you can remember that act, and it's not like you're smiling or anything, I think that's just signs of there is a somewhat normal human being in there, right? Because
especially with the flashbacks the next morning.
Exactly, because it's not nothing to do that. He knows it's taking a life. It makes him more
sympathetic.
Exactly. He knows it's taking a life, so it is consequential, and you at least have to remember the person or the thing you did. But yeah, I don't know. I guess it's just me because, sure, I mean, to me, it seemed like a choice between kill me now or let me live and I try to run away and get my family out and you catch us and kill us. I'd still take the let me try at least instead of
that makes logical sense without knowing more information. But yeah. I think also the thing with maybe taking a more like general view of movies is that if you get too analytical about the decisions some of the characters made, you can almost find fault with everything a character has made, like the decisions. I mean, because why didn't they do that? Like in real life, we make decisions all the time that are based on limited information, or even with heaps of information, we can make a slightly wrong decision. Right, and we could look back at it and go, "Oh, I should have done this, or I should have done that." Yeah. I think if you have that magnifying glass, put the magnifying glass on like a film script, we can be like, "Oh, I should have done this, should have done that," and it's like that's not how the people operate.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, definitely. But yeah, that scene, it just stuck out to me personally because I'm always looking at things from, well, I don't think I can necessarily help it, but I try to look at it from, how are they justifying their decisions to themselves? I try to look at these characters as real people, right? So how are they justifying their decisions to themselves, and what would I do in that situation? And if there is a point where they did something that I wouldn't do, and I'm not really able to see how they could justify it to themselves, it sticks a bit. It sticks to my mind a little bit. But yeah, I mean, I can't say I've personally been, involved or even had any sort of introductory imaginative experience with crime or anything like that. But I guess, it might be better to, I think he thought it would be better to die right then and there as opposed to, I don't know, getting tortured.
Right, and in some ways it is
gruesome death.
Well, in some ways, because he kind of seems like he was kind of presented in some ways like a scumbag.
Who, the Miguel guy?
Yeah. Just like because you don't have any other information, you just see this guy getting beat up like he's stolen something or he's done something bad. He's been but then he sacrifices his own life for something, his boss or whoever or his brothers or whatever it is. So ironically, in that he's presented as a scumbag, and then at the very next minute, if you think about it, it's actually quite honourable what he's done. You could present
you could
it that
say
way,
that, because like, he didn't snitch, right? Oh.
And what it does is then, at least in my head, it was kind of like whatever organization or hierarchy this guy is in, I don't know what it is now, but whatever he's in, they've got a very strong honor code and duty to each other, right?
Well, either that or, the guys at the top have made it extremely clear that death is a better option.
And those are not mutually exclusive.
I don't know if I would say that because it's different when, your honor, you're choosing to die because of, you hold strong beliefs and don't want to betray those beliefs, like the
I understand that,
Cosa Nostra.
I disagree with the binary you're trying to create.
No, because hear me out. If I believe that, my crime family is, legitimate and we're tight knit and whatever, we have to stick together and so on and so forth, and I'm willing to die rather than expose that, versus if I believe that, you can only kill me, but if I tell you, I still die, and then all of my family and everyone connected to me gets tortured and killed as well, then I think it's better you just kill me now. One is honorable and more my choice, versus the other is just, I'm weighing the decisions before me, and this is the lesser of the two evils.
But he still has a choice.
It's still a choice, but one is more because of honor or whatever, and the other is fear.
Yeah, sure. But like, my only point is that, okay, you could see in his eyes he was very fearful, but he also it might be an honor thing, right? To die for his family. And what you were saying before was, we were talking about the main character Ghost, how there's still a part of him that's very human. Yeah. Just like this guy. Just like in a lot of slimy people, they have the capacity for good and the capacity for honorable acts. It's just perhaps circumstance, or it's perhaps a weak will, or whatever the thing is, right? So, but it's a cartel. Right, so they probably are not chill on the old torture front.
Yeah. What would you say is your best scene from that episode?
So it could be that scene. Even though there are things that I think are wrong with it, I still really liked it. It still really drew me in, because especially after that first...
Which scene?
The execution scene.
Okay.
It really drew me in, especially after Tasha's weak ass line to start off with. I was like, what is this? Call me beautiful. I was like, what the hell? Yeah. Anyway, then it's this scene, and I was really brought in, and it developed the character of Ghost, and it kind of set up a lot of things. I thought as an opening, it was really strong. Yeah. They did character and they did plot really well. So probably, I'm just trying to think now, what else there could be. I think also the scene when he's having sex with his wife and he's having those flashbacks and he's almost predatory. Yeah. So I think that develops the character really well, because you get a sense of the predation in his personality, but also he's still, as you said, human. I think that was actually done really well. It's not a pleasant scene to watch. Yeah. But it was really well done. That was really good. Yeah, probably. What about yours?
Mine, I would say, was the scene where he was, he just killed someone, and then he puts back on his suit, goes upstairs, and starts mingling with people. And by the time he gets from downstairs to upstairs, the whole business has closed and everyone's scampered out. It felt like one of those, imagine you're selling drugs out of a, moving van and you just close the back and maybe the ground opens and the van goes in and the ground closes, no trace of what was going on here type of thing. Yeah, that sort of made me feel okay, wow.
So you got the top, superficial, what it looks like on top, and you got all the stuff in the bottom.
Exactly. This dude is he's definitely living a double life, that's evident, but he's doing it so well that he's practically two people, and he's switching through them with ease.
Well, I think that diametrically opposed, almost personalities that are facing off between each other, seems like they're personified in the two, what I would just call secondary characters, and which will probably be main characters, but you know what I mean. Tommy and the other guy, what, Cantor, do you say? Cantos.
Yeah.
It almost seems like they are parts of his ghosts, two parts of his personality, right? Facing off, right? And they're actually expressed in characters.
Yeah.
So you've got the violence, the drug running, the do everything underhanded, that type of stuff, drugs, and then you've got the clean, sweet talking, or running a club, a lot of finesse, you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I get you. It definitely can look like these two people in his life are sort of lampposts pointing in two life directions for him.
So you use the word seem. What does that make you think?
Well, I mean, Tommy is more of a friend and equal to Ghost, right?
As you said.
Whereas Cantus is more an employee kind of thing.
But there was that scene how they were like, at least Tommy was like taunting him and being
exactly.
Like, this is the way we do things. And he was like,
exactly. And
you're a douche.
No, but like even in that scene, Tommy made it clear that I'm your boss as well, just as James is, right? Because, he was giving him orders and stuff.
Right.
So I wouldn't necessarily say they're the same to Ghost, but they're definitely indicators of different directions that he can go in with his life.
Yep. Fair enough. Cool.
All right. Yeah, so I think overall with this first episode, what I did want to point out that kind of struck me, because I'm also thinking about it from the first time I watched the series, and also now that I recently just had to rewatch it, so I'm current.
How many times have you watched it?
Maybe like 3.
Okay, so you're not like obsessed.
No,
every detail.
No, the series came out like several years ago. Maybe just then once.
I saw 50 Cent had helped produce it, so I was like,
yeah.
Boy, like we're pals and we know each other on a personal level, obviously.
Sure, obviously.
Yeah.
Well. So the fact that everyone kind of in the movie seemed to have this distrust of everyone else. Like, I was gonna just point out that, a couple scenes. The one where Ghost was talking with Ruiz, and at the end of the conversation, he kind of looked at him side-eyed. The one where, what's his name? Ruiz side-eyed Lobos. When Lobos came to meet him in that boxing gym.
So, which one's which?
So, Lobos is the cartel drug kingpin.
Yeah.
And Ruiz is the gang leader for a specific gang called the Soldados.
And they
met in a boxing gym at some point. Yeah.
And then there was the undercover agent.
Yeah, that was watching them.
Yeah.
When, he was like, bueno, let's go in there and talk. And the boss went first. You could see his whole face like change from smiling to like,
yeah. This dude. This
like, and also, when Lobos honesty checked Ghost and Tommy, right? Like when they came to give him his money, and Tommy was like, I'm not sure about this, your idea of we telling him that we got hit, right? And they gave him the money. He gave it to his associate to count.
Right.
And Ghost was like, it's all there.
And he's counting it right in his face.
Yeah, and of course he scolds that guy for counting out loud and gave it to someone else. And that person counts it. So, first of all, he doesn't trust that they would give him the total money, right?
Of course.
Because
that's quite a normal scene.
Yeah.
General scene.
But then he asks, is everything okay, right? When he's looking over food. Tommy says everything's just fine. Ghost says, we got hit last night. And then he says, so I heard.
Yeah.
So he knows what happens to them.
Of course.
But he's asking a question that he already knows the answer to to see if they'll tell him the truth. Exactly. So a whole lot of like, just suspiciously checking everyone.
But that's normal. Like, it was obvious from the get-go. This is about drugs. This is about violence. This is about deception. This is about blah, 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 blah. So that scene, without being too critical, that's a scene that I'm sure we've both seen in many types of crime and drug films, or TV shows, or books, or whatever, where there's a boss and he's essentially interrogating somebody under his command, right? And he sees if he can trip him up, sees if he can catch him in a lie, right? And no, but you did point out how I didn't actually notice that how Tommy lied, but Ghost didn't lie, and that I just want to raise one point between those two characters. Now, I might be wrong, but Ghost seems like to have a higher IQ than Tommy. He seems like he's a smarter guy.
Yeah.
And Tommy seems a little bit thicker. He's not thick, but he's thicker. Yeah. It might make he doesn't have the finesse and the guile, to really be a big player. And he's got the brashness and the arrogance and the confidence to do the lower level stuff.
Yeah.
But maybe not what Ghost has.
Yeah. I mean, I think, it really showed a dynamic, right? Because Ghost from jump was like, we should tell him. He would want to find out from us. It's better he finds out from us,
Which is the smart thing to do.
Yeah. I mean, I guess you could say that, right? But I don't know. Like,
or at least the way they constructed.
Yeah.
It seemed like the way.
It's probably the smart thing to do, at least with how things turned out. But I'm also not necessarily sold against Tommy's part of not telling him.
No, you're right.
Yeah, because it's really about how would Lobos take it. Would he mind if we don't tell him?
And the irony is he goes to that.
He does mind.
The gang, the Hispanic gang leader.
Yeah, he's still.
In the end, he's like, they've got reliability issues with Ghost, which is the irony behind what you just said. So, okay, we'll take a step back, but so this could be the Avon Barksdale string of bell. Come back. I love that dynamic.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was a really good show. It was a little bit rough around the edges, like music, cinematography, editing, but the main things, which is like character and plot, were really good, I thought.
Okay.
Yep. Well, and I wanted to watch the second one, but I thought they would be breaking.
Yeah, no, it's fine. Like, I'm thinking.
No, I think because this was good, just one episode, and then the next episode.
Okay.
I kind of think that would work. It's fresh on our minds.
Okay.
Because I was kind of like, then it's limited by what's on my mind.
Okay.
And then I don't have to filter out things.
Okay.
Which is very hard for me to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. I think that was a good enough review. I will say, like, the story, it gets more, robust the further we go into it. And if we were reviewing, like, the whole season right now,
we'd talk
there'd
forever.
definitely be flags we could point to. Of course, we wouldn't talk a lot about the minutia, like specific
right, yeah,
scenes as much. But yeah,